Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 48 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're your source for entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more.
You can find us wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
Well, welcome back to another week of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy to have you here. We have lots of exciting news to go over today in the world of entertainment, as we do every week, including some news with the Oscars, actors on actors with Variety, some movie casting, and some Star Wars updates. So let's jump right into it. Let's start off with the Oscars because they made some announcements earlier this week that were confusing, I think, is a fair word to say for a lot of people. Starting off with the fact that the Academy, for the foreseeable future, starting with next year, the Oscars will be on Sunday, March 15th, 2026, and they are implementing rules to make sure that members will not be allowed to vote for the Oscars if they haven't demonstrated that they have watched all of the nominated films. This was according to Discussing Films on X. And I just think everyone is rightfully confused that people weren't watching them before. I
Yeah.
I think maybe just everyone kind of assumed that the Academy members had to watch the movies that they were voting for and like all the other ones in the categories, but I guess this just wasn't a rule.
Yeah, I was very confused when I first heard that this was a new rule that they were implementing because, as you're saying, what do you mean these people who are voting on who wins the biggest award haven't even seen half the performances, maybe. I don't know. But I don't feel like that's right. And it definitely brings up a lot of questioning for like who's won in the past, being like, have they even seen who they voted for, or was that the only movie they watched? So I think that's where the confusion is coming in.
And then moving over to Instagram, Hollywood Reporter was explaining that another part of this update is Oscar voters can no longer vote without seeing all of the nominees. So they gave an example of Diane Warren, which you don't know Diane Warren, she's an incredible musician, and she has received 16 Best Original Song nominations with the Oscars throughout the years, and your girl hasn't won a single one. So, in major departure, the Hollywood Reporter says, from 97 years of tradition, the board has implemented what one might call the Diane Warren rule. The final ballots are sent to the full membership, and in past years, they have never fully listed all of the nominees for every single category besides ones pertaining to actors alongside their nominated project. So, like Diane Warren's name would not be next to her song that is nominated on the ballot. So basically, now moving forward, though, all designated nominees in all categories will now be listed on the final ballots, reports The Hollywood Reporter.
Why were we not doing this before? Like, this just seems like common sense.
I
And
mean,
that's the part that makes me wonder, like, what is going on?
I don't understand how it took 97 Oscars to get to this.
They really wanted to make all the changes right before, like, the 100th one.
So it does say that there will be screening opportunity. The Academy provides members with opportunities to view films through special screenings and dedicated platforms. Anyways, departing off of that, that is your news for the Oscars coming out next year with the 98th awards. So I think there's rightfully so a lot of internet discourse about that. So that's just very interesting to see what will come of that over the next few days as well.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting a lot of news from the Oscars, so I wouldn't be surprised if we had more Oscar news for you next week. Moving away from the Oscars onto a new segment Variety's doing, half new, half like updated. Actors and Actors is obviously a beloved thing by Nicole and I, but also many cinephiles and like film and TV lovers. Now we're bringing it to Broadway with Actors on Actors Broadway. It'll be on their YouTube channels and social platforms this week on April 22nd. This is obviously the first edition of the new show, and it will feature George Clooney and Patti LuPone, Audra McDonald and Jake Gyllenhaal, Sarah Snook and Kieran Culkin, Nicole Scherzinger and Jonathan Groff, and Cole Escolar and Darren Criss. So a bunch of Broadway and film and music icons on this. So I'm excited to see what that vibe is like for them.
I'm glad they're keeping it fresh. I think it's a nice update. I think that's exciting. Like you said, there's a variety of artists in there, whether they be actors or musicians, stage performers. So it's exciting to see them kind of all blend into this uh, one-on-one conversation pairs. I think that's fun.
I kind of just want everybody in this pair to be paired with Kieran Culkin at least once. I
True.
feel like he just gives the most like unhinged, but yet so like open interviews to anyone because he's just so chill. Like imagine him and Patty LuPone.
His conversations are always fun to listen to, like you said, regardless of what kind of interview he's doing. He's always just it's almost like he's entertaining. He doesn't even have to try to be entertaining. He's just so entertaining and so honest and so forthcoming, and I love it.
I think it's honestly just him being honest and
Yeah.
not caring, but like not being as PR trained. He just wants to be honest and like doesn't want to act outside of the acting he's doing.
But keeping on that train a little bit, coming out of A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg is set to direct a new musical comedy with A24, which is currently untitled. The cast includes Julianne Moore and Paul Giamatti, but they are also adding Halle Bailey, Havana Rose Liu, and Bernadette Peters. I'm so here for anything Jesse Eisenberg does. I love Paul Giamatti. The Holdovers was spectacular a few years ago. Obviously, he's been in so many other spectacular films, but most recently, I loved him in The Holdovers. Julianne Moore, a classic. I can't help. I'm really in a Hunger Games mindset right now, so I'm really thinking President Coin.
Oh, don't get me started on the Hunger Games. Oh, literally, I'm reading Sunrise on the Reaping, and it's like right in the corner of my frame right now. And I'm like, oh, I am definitely gonna open you after this recording.
Oh, but yes, that will be a future release with A24. We also have another in development announcement. A Clueless sequel series is in development with Peacock, and Alicia Silverstone has confirmed that she is reprising her role of Cher Horowitz. And obviously, this comes very, very closely that we are getting the Elle Legally Blonde prequel series with Amazon MGM Studios and Prime Video. So I think, I mean, hey, I love Clueless. It is a classic 90s rom-com. You got Alicia Silverstone, obviously. You got Paul Rudd. I mean, their relationship is slightly weird in the movie, that is arguably correct, but nonetheless, Paul Rudd, it goes back to our constant conversation of just redoing things that have already been done. But you never know. This could be interesting and this could be fun, and it'll be interesting to see what direction they take it in. Obviously, Alicia Silverstone reprising a role of Cher. We know that they're just doing a very like sequel into the future thing. They're not trying to do what Elle's doing, going backwards and doing a young Elle Woods. So it'll be interesting to see what they have planned with this and what we get in the future.
All right, moving away from Clueless, we do have a few announcements from the Star Wars celebration that happened in Japan. This is a yearly thing. I'm taking control of this because I'm more of a Star Wars fan than Nicole is, but A for effort, Nicole. First off, we have The Mandalorian and Grogu finally got an official release date. It will be theatrically released on May 22nd, 2026. Obviously, for those of you who don't know or live under a rock, Pedro Pascal stars in this as the Mandalorian, and we have Baby Yoda also Grogu being in it. And this comes off of the hit series The Mandalorian, where these characters first got their initial appearance and they were just so beloved that they decided to make a whole film about it. We also have Sigourney Weaver reprising her role as well, which was kind of brief in the show. So I'm excited to see how they develop her character. And it will be directed by Jon Favreau.
I will say, I love Baby Yoda.
We love Baby Yoda. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you know who Baby Yoda is.
He's so cute.
He is, and he made an appearance at the celebration with Pedro Pascal, and he is
And
looking
his
great.
boots.
And his boots. The second big announcement we got was that Star Wars Starfighter was officially announced. This will be directed by Sean Levy, and this will star Canada's very own Ryan Gosling. Honestly, there were rumors about him becoming a part of the Star Wars franchise, but I'm happy we finally confirmed it. I'm not sure how I feel about Ryan Gosling joining this franchise, but I do love Canadians and I love Ryan Gosling, so I'm sure they will make something fantastic. I also love Sean. He's so talented as a director. So I'm excited to see. But that will be getting a theatrical release on May 28th, 2027. So still a bit of time away, but enough that you can catch up on Star Wars and know where Ryan Gosling now fits into it.
Yay!
Yay! Lastly, on our list of big Star Wars news, obviously there were a lot of announcements. So if we didn't cover any, you can definitely go Star Wars pages and find all of the little announcements they had. But our last big announcement is one that has been long awaited by fans, even if it's not live action. Maul Shadow Lord is becoming an animated series which will star Sam Witwer, who has obviously portrayed Maul in past films and television series. So I'm excited to see him back in this role or voicing this role. This character has been so beloved and it's been so long awaited to have like a backstory or just any series or film focused on this character for the very short amount of screen time he got. So I'm obsessed with this. I'm glad they're listening to the fans and giving them what they want. Only downside to this is because it was announced and it's going to Disney Plus, it does not have a release date yet. So it is just in the works, brand new. So it'll probably be a while.
You're like, oh, sorry to be the one to say.
We got good Star Wars news. That's all we care about. But yeah, that was the main Star Wars news. But again, if you want all of the nitty-gritty about what they went over and who was there, I know Hayden Christensen was also there. So shout out to him. Just check out Star Wars. They have a whole thing about everything they announced.
Well, thank you, Gracie, for filling us in on our Star Wars dose of news.
You're welcome.
But moving away from Star Wars over to Netflix and book to screen adaptations, Lucy Hale is starring in Netflix's upcoming series adaptation of Kate Dolan's novel, Dead Letters. The series is a joint project from the Unwell and Capital Entertainment companies, which of course are run respectively by Alex Cooper and Aaron Kaplan, married in real life. The series is described as a psychological thriller whodunit show that centers around a pair of twins played by Lucy Hale. I love, we said this, I think we said this not long ago. I love Lucy Hale. I think she's great. I mean, hey, Pretty Little Liars is just spectacular. The movies she has done since, honestly, the last one is very similar to this one. The F, Mary Kill is giving
Yeah,
similar vibes. So maybe they saw it and they're like, yes, you are the girl for this.
I am excited for Lucy Hale. I love basically everything that she's done. I will say Truth or Dare really shook me.
Oh, I love
Um,
Truth or Dare. That
it
was
was it was so good.
it was.
But like I refused to watch YouTube for at least a year after I watched that movie just because the ending. So love Lucy Hale, but please, please stop doing horror for at least one or two movies.
We're going back to the roots. I love Pretty Little Liars. This is giving Pretty Little Liars vibe, Truth or Dare vibe, F, Mary Kill vibe. She was in that movie Fantasy Island, I think, like the remake, the Blumhouse Fantasy Island.
Yeah,
I love her.
we love Lucy Hale. Can't wait to see what she does next, obviously, with this and after this. You know what's so funny about this is the fact that she's playing twins. And you know who that reminds me of is Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, our next point is about Lindsay Lohan. She has been set to star in Hulu's upcoming series adaptation of Sophie Steyer's novel, Count My Lies. This series focuses on a compulsively lying nanny who moves into a house filled with very dangerous secrets. So I like that we're having two book adaptations. I love that they're led by women. Um, I'm honestly just always here for a good book adaptation. And I say good book adaptation very sparingly.
I think it's very exciting, like you said. I am very, very much loving the thriller vibes. Even Lindsay Lohan's is very much just giving like kind of like mystery thriller
Mhm.
vibes. I love it.
What is a book that you want to see adapted?
Ooh. Well, currently it already is going to be, but Sunrise on the Reaping, I cannot wait to see the film adaptation. I am reading the book right now. My heart is breaking for Haymitch with every turn of the page. I am very excited for that. I'm trying to think what else. You know what I think this is completely different than everything I've just been talking about. When I was growing up, I read this series called Whatever After, and it was basically like a fractured fairy tale series. And it was these two kids, they move into a new house, and the girl discovers there's a magic mirror in their basement, and there's like a fairy godmother living in the mirror, and she transports them in the middle of the night to different fairy tales. And for like a kid's like series, like an animated little series, I think that would be such a fun book series to adapt because there's at least 15 books now. You have so much material, and I lived for those books when I was a kid. So I think someone needs to make a children's series for that.
I love that, but sticking to your point of like old books that I have wanted made into an adaptation, I stand by this. Apart from Sunrise on the Reaping, which I'm so thoroughly excited for, not only because it's the Hunger Games, but because it's coming out on my birthday. Thank you
Yay!
to them.
I'm glad we have your birthday
Uh,
plans for next year.
okay, Mockingjay Part 2 came out on my birthday, and I thought that was like the best my life would ever get. And then they did this one too, and I was like, two Hunger Games movies?
Don't
Stop
worry,
it.
your life hasn't peaked yet. It will next year.
Maybe in a few years I'll get another one. But speaking of Suzanne Collins, before she wrote The Hunger Games, she wrote this series called Gregor the Overlander. And I kid you not, growing up, this was a book that got me into reading. It is so cool. And it's like this dystopian, but also not dystopian world. It's about this kid named Gregor whose baby sister goes down like a vent chute in a laundry room and he goes after her, but they wind up in like this underground world and it's like full of these giant bats and rats and there's like kingdoms and they have to find their way out. It's just so cool and I hate that she doesn't get any recognition for that book because it has like 7 books in the series. And then she came out with the Hunger Games. Like, guys, give her her flowers.
It's
But
okay.
also
Bringing.
Shatter Me. Shatter Me, the entire series needs to be made into a movie or a TV show. It was supposed to be, and then they canceled it, and I'll never forgive them.
I read one not too long ago. I think I was talking about it on here called Call It What You Want. And the author just announced that she's coming out with a new book next year. But I think it would be such a, it's just very, it's a college, will they, won't they, not will they, won't they, but like a college romance basically where the guy is giving the girl nothing, basically. So they're kind of in this not relationship. And they're not putting a label on it, but they're basically dating, but they're not dating. It's one of those stories. So
Someone needs to call Wattpad right
it would be
now.
a great like
Or Tubi. You never
exactly.
know. But yeah, that is our slight rant off topic about book adaptations.
Well, let's move in to our watches of the week, which I think both Grace and I are gonna insert our clips here because we are recording this early on in the week. I am seeing Sinners today, and when I tell you 4 o'clock cannot come fast enough. I am so excited. And Gracie is heading to a preview screening of Until Dawn, thank you to our friends at Sony Pictures later this week. So we will both be clipping in our reviews.
I want to say before we clip my review in and before either of us see it, how scared on a scale of 1 to 10 do we think I'm going to be of Until Dawn?
I give it a 7. I have
As
so
you
much.
say, imagine if I just clip into my clip and I'm like sweating and near tears.
Gracie is so brave. I'm sending Gracie out into the world of horror without me. and she is a lone ranger, and she's taken one for the team. So everyone say thank you, Gracie, for our early review of Until Dawn because she's not a fan of horror as we have discussed many, many times on here, but she's taken one. She's taken one for the team, and so I'm very proud. I feel like we're coming up very close to a year of the podcast. May 3rd is officially our 1 year of the show, and I feel like I've made so much progress. I think I've said multiple times that I would turn Gracie into a horror movie lover, and this is really the first big climb, and I'm so excited.
This is not what's happening, okay? I like thrillers. I do not love horrors, but I will watch them. Usually it ends with me like laughing at myself for getting scared. Anyway, cut to our things. I just got back from an early screening of Until Dawn, so thank you to our friends at Sony Pictures for helping us set that up and giving us the invitation to go see it. I'm sure Nicole would have loved to have come, but obviously she's in Australia, so I had a great time. Honestly, as most of you probably know if you listen to the podcast, I'm not a huge horror fan. I'm more of a thriller type film person, but I thoroughly enjoyed Until Dawn. I will say there were multiple moments that I had jump scares, and I may have swore to the person sitting next to me who I knew. But overall, it was just so well done. I found the perfect mix of being scary while still having a really strong and interactive plot line, while also being such a good comedy. Like, I didn't expect this movie to be funny in any way, shape, or form, but the way these characters play off each other's energies and personalities is just so funny. And there's really not one unlikable character because they all bring something so unique. And I personally didn't play the original game, but I did get the chance to talk to some people who were at the screening that did play the game. And although it's not 100% true to the game, they did hide a lot of little Easter eggs into the film for fans of the game to enjoy. Apart from it being scary and funny and just overall super entertaining, like I was glued to the screen the entire time, even if it was like through my fingers sometimes. Um, the cinematography and the choices that were made using like lighting and sound was a big one, obviously, for horror. But the lighting was really something that elevated these shots. There's a lot of scenes using red and flashing lights, and in speaking with other viewers, we all agree that those are like some of the best shots. But I also do love one of the first shots of the film, which is a beautiful like transition from the sanddial to a car driving. It doesn't give anything away, I promise, but it is just such a beautiful shot. And I think the creative choices made throughout this bring such a deeper level to this film as a whole, apart from it being a horror. So, overall, it was a great time. It definitely is scarier than what I would normally go for, but nonetheless, solid film, and I will be watching it again, most likely with Nicole. But thank you again to Sony Pictures for inviting us.
Hey everyone, I am back post Sinners screening, and I am so excited to report that Sinners is my first 10 out of 10 film of 2025. I can't even express to you how much I enjoyed this film, so let's jump right into this spoiler-free review. If you haven't heard already, Sinners is written and directed by Ryan Coogler, who's responsible for films you probably already know and love, including the Creed films, Black Panther films. So, Sinners follows the story of twins Smoke and Stack, played both by Michael B. Jordan, as they return to their hometown in Mississippi with plans to open a juke joint. They head to see their cousin Sammy, also referred to as Preacher Boy, played by Miles Catton, who is a blues musician and the son of a pastor. Once they are reunited with their cousin, they head out to get some other familiar faces in their town, including Delta Slim, who is portrayed by Delroy Lindo. Also, who you need to know, three prominent female characters in this film are Mary, Annie, and Pearline. They are played by Haley Steinfeld, Wumi Mosaku, and Jane Lawson, and they all deliver such strong, fierce performances that were very much a standout to me throughout this entire film. So, opening night at Juke Joint comes along, but it takes a terrifying turn when vampires begin to creep in on their fun. So, that is the plot. That's what you need to know going into it. It is a genre-bending film, so it incorporates so many aspects, including horror, action, history. There's comedy in it too. It is just such a seamless blend of everything you want to see on the big screen. But some things I have to point out for you. Miles Catton, this is his debut performance, and he was one of the biggest standouts to me coming out of this film. He's just one of the biggest reasons why you need to see this film alone. He was incredible as Sammy. His musical talents are unlike something I've seen on the big screen in quite a while. His voice is stunning. So you need to see Sinners just to see his wonderful performances on the screen. But speaking of music, there is a scene that I kept hearing about on social media before I saw the film myself that I won't spoil for you. But there is a scene about midway through the film that is just stunning. It fuses the history of Black music together during one of Sammy's performances at the Juke Joint. And I was reading an interview that the cinematographer for the film, Autumn Durald, did for Variety, and she referred to this scene as the surreal montage. I can't even describe it to you because I don't want to ruin anything for you because it is just such a stunning, stunning visual representation on the screen. So you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes onto the screen when you go see the film for yourself. There's also two post-credit scenes that you need to stick around for because they are both so integral to the entire story that you just watched unfold on the screen. So there's one midway through the credits as well at the very end of the credits. So make sure you stick around for those. And I can't finish this review without giving you the fact that the score is utterly fantastic. It is composed by Ludwig Göransson, who previously worked with Coogler on Black Panther and Creed. He is an Academy Award winner. He also worked on Oppenheimer. So just go to Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you listen to, and listen to the soundtrack as well. I listened to it the entire way home when I left the movie theater. It is such a perfect accompaniment to everything that's happening on the screen. All the performances are incredible. The cinematography is stunning. Coogler's writing and direction is just fantastic, and the score elevates all of it. So I can't tell you enough good things about this movie. I could sit here forever and rhyme off all the reasons why you need to see Sinners in the biggest movie theater that you can find on the biggest screen possible. Go see it with your friends, go see it with your family. It is such a great, great watch. So Sinners is in theaters now. Well, I hope you enjoyed our reviews of both Until Dawn and Sinners. Sinners is in theaters now. You can catch it in theaters. Until Dawn is out tomorrow in theaters. So can't wait to hear what you think about them. Gracie, moving in, what is your song of the week?
I'm gonna say this week, it's been on rotation for me for a while, but I love Baby No Money. I think he's so iconic. For those of you who don't know, he's a Canadian rapper. What an icon, man. I had the chance to see him live in concert twice. So he puts on a great show. Nonetheless, he has this new song called Antidepressants, and I love it. It sounds like it should be a sad song, but is like the best kind of like hype upbeat song. And I think he's just so talented and he has such a good connection with his fan base too, which also makes me love his music even more because he's so open about like giving his fans the opportunity to design his upcoming cover art or like merchandise and basically just cheering them on along the way and thanking them for everything. And he's also a proud Canadian, which is like I don't want to say rare to see in the music industry, but so often we're told that like in order to make it, you have to go to America and you have to basically make that your personality. And I'm so glad to see people like him and Tate McRae and all of these other amazing Canadian artists being so honest about where they're from. So, long story short, antidepressants, baby no money, but also everything he does is just such a good vibe. So check it out. Nicole, what was your song of the week?
My song of the week is a new single that Cole Swindell put out called We Can Always Move On. It is a single that he released early from his upcoming album, Spanish Moss, which is releasing on June 27th of this year. He's also already released a few other singles, the title single, Spanish Moss, but also Kill a Prayer, One Day, and Forever to Me, which Forever to Me has been on rotation for me also for a very long time. Like it's been out for a while now, and that's been on rotation for a long time. So, I'm very excited to hear the full album when it comes out in just a little over 2 months. All right, moving into our very last segment of the day. As always, upcoming releases. Starting off with today, April 24th, we have You Season 5 out on Netflix.
I want to say that's the final season. I am so stressed.
Joe is hopefully going down because this man,
How has he made it 5 seasons?
honestly, with his track record, going back to like watching the first season and how careless he was with his decisions at some point.
How have you made it this far, sir? Also, how did he make it that far in Gossip Girl too? Like,
Yeah, Penn Badgley, man. I like his characters always are quite amusing to watch.
yes. But moving on from that, April 25th, we have The Accountant 2 is going to theaters.
And like we said earlier, Until Dawn is also in theaters.
We have Winter, Spring, Summer, or Fall in theaters as well.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is also in theaters for the anniversary screenings.
We also have The Legend of Ochi in theaters.
Havoc is out on Netflix.
Cheech and Chong's last movie is coming to limited release.
And we also have On Swift Horses, which is in limited release, which Gracie and I have both seen last year at the Toronto Film Festival, and I think we had different opinions on it. But I was a pretty I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. A very like slow, kind of like almost melodic drama, which is a weird word to describe it, but it just felt very like flowy to me, dramatic. But I did enjoy that film.
It's a good film. I just don't think it was my type of film.
Which is so valid. And it does star Daisy Edgar Jones, Will Poulter, and Jacob Elordi.
On April 28th, we have Chef's Table Legends on Netflix.
On April 30th, we have Exterritorial out on Netflix. So that is everything coming out for this week in theaters and on streaming. And that wraps up today's episode. That's all we have to share. So thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with us. We're always so happy to have you here. We will be back next week at the same time as always. So until then, I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and you can watch us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
See you next week. Bye.